All right. Hello. This is Milton Resendez Vera. This is my reflective video for the IMAESC adult education online learning uh, with adult education, which I had with Cyprus Online. This is my reflection of what I learned. I made myself a couple of questions that I want to answer on video. First one being, what did I learn? Second one was, do I feel like the class was helpful? And what would I change in the class to make it more helpful? And the last one being, what do I think about online learning now? So starting with what did I learn? I think two main things stand out for me. First one being the learning theory of connectivism, where instead of focusing on the creation of knowledge within the individual, there is a larger focus on connecting the individual to nodes of new information. I think it just feels very rational. It sounds very logical because I myself, I do it all the time. I think right now I was actually working with I'm working with my laptop camera, and I was showing up green and purple in it, and I have no idea why that was happening. So I ended up just finding an online video recorder by just looking up on Google, um, video recorder, and I found it. And I think being able to connect to nodes of information like this is really a lot like what the future is. I think one of my comments equates well, it doesn't equate, but uses connectivism, explains connectivism through the metaphor of Harry Potter, and you guys should really look at it. I'm really proud of it. It's a lot of fun. Basically, it explains how Dumbledore could have been a better headmaster if he had just kind of thought more about modern learning theories such as connectivism. That's one thing, connectivism. The second one I would say that really blew my mind was thinking about ethics and MOOCs and in open educational resources. I really thought that, just thinking about how it's insane how even simple things that you think are just immediately good, like, yeah, of course, open educational resources for everybody. These are the greatest things in the world. If you got to think about the ethics of all of them, and it really, sometimes the ethics of it really aren't as simple as that. Second question, do I feel like the class was helpful and what would I change? I think the class was helpful. I really did enjoy working with Andreas. He's a very casual teacher. I did enjoy working a lot with my classmates because they would comment something and I would read it and I would comment on it too. It was really interesting seeing what they posted, what they thought, what they said. Although I do feel that um, the UI, the user interface, both Blackboard Collaborator and the Cypress Online e-class, my God, using those felt it was painful, especially Blackboard Collaborator. Whenever I started it up, I was always worried that it was recording or that it was like transmitting my voice or my video, and it was never really very clear if it was or wasn't. It the entire time the video was very, very, very laggy. I remember that the first class we had a huge amount of problems with the audio, with the audio specifically. It was really hard to listen. Really hard to listen to what Andreas was saying, and it was disastrous. I think it did definitely get better as time went on, but I do think the audio was still really bad. I don't know. Does Blackboard Collaborator only transmit 256 kilobytes per second? Because if it does, I would be completely unsurprised. I would definitely suggest switching out that Blackboard collaborator for something much more efficient. Hell, I think even like Discord and screen share would be better. And what about on the e-class for Cyprus Online, the website? I just felt there were way too many barriers for getting to the forums, and it was all text-based. It was all sort of like difficult to get to. I think, in fact, I have it right here. I used a different, and I'm pretty sure it's even open source, a different online class thing called Canvas in Structure. And I really do think Canvas in Structure has a better way of organizing things. So here it is. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen. I did this for essentially for a class that was around basics of game theory and design. And really, user interface is extremely important. And the fact that like the e-class for Cyprus Online was it really was kind of a barrier for me to think like, oh, I have to log in. I have to find that tiny little blue link for the forum that I have to comment on. The assignments, they're over here, but they're not really very clear at finding it. While like Canvas and Structure really was very clear. It's just like it says like home, announcements, assignments, discussions, grades, people. I think it just has everything very like clearly there. I think if it the structure of the e-class had been easier to access, to engage with, I definitely would have like participated more often, like not only more often, but more like on time. Although what I would change is also like my own participation. I feel like um, after I did the connectivism comment, I just kind of like I got like it took so much time, and I was really proud of it. But I feel that I definitely could have done more if I just like have just been a little more motivated on my part. I do feel like I definitely could have done more, and I definitely could have learned more if I had put in more work on my side. We had a ton of classes. I had a class that just burned me out, and then like logging into the online class, it was like, oh, I have to read all of this, and then I have to comment, and I don't want my comments to just or my posts to just be very simple things, so I would just kind of put it off. In a way, I think that is an advantage that we have with online learning, the asynchronous discussion part of it, that I can comment something and I can come back to it like some time later, and it has comments on it, and then I can comment on them. I think that's definitely an advantage. Although I do also think it's can be a little dangerous because it can also just lead you to just putting it off and then doing it like all at the end, which I totally did do that. But yeah, I feel like the class was interesting. I would change the UI of both Blackboard Collaborator and the eClass in Online Cyprus. And I would change my own motivation to interact more with my classmates and professor. I feel that I did miss out on that. And last question would be, what do I think about online learning now? Honestly, this class just made it so much more complex. I thought online learning was simple. You go online, you look up a class, and you think, all right, I want to learn this, and you take the class and you finish it, and that's it. I was thinking maybe as like an online educator, I could just say, all right, I'll prepare an online class, and I'll try and sell it, and if it gets sold, that's awesome, and I get money. And hopefully whoever decides to take it, hopefully they finish it, because from what I've seen, most people who start online classes do not finish them. Uh, but I mean, that's something that can happen. But really, like online learning seemed so much simpler before. Before reading all the, I think that's also something I would definitely commend when it comes to like this class. The articles that we read, despite them being sometimes very technical, they were also like I would say it was interesting. They were not as optimistic about online courses as other things that I have read. In fact, I would say they were very critical of online courses, of open educational resources, and just like the ethics of it. And I love that. I very much appreciate that because it really showed the conflicts of having online education and considering it as the be all end all solution to all the problems that we have, to the problem of making education more widespread for everybody. Hell, one of the articles that I read basically said the opposite. It said actually online education, open educational resources, and MOOCs, these are actually used more by people who already have higher education, which means people, it's instead of closing the gap between people who don't have this education and people who do have this education, it's actually widening, making it wider, because people who already have higher education, people of higher socioeconomic classes, they actually have, like, all of these things lead to more advantages for them, and it actually slightly widens the knowledge gap. And I think that's like an ethical issue that we really have to consider as future online educators. I also believe that let's see, what else is really interesting about it. Just the ethics of some online courses not being good enough. People who do online courses, they're spending time, not necessarily money, but definitely time that could be used in something else, like, for example, work or other classes or paid courses. I think looking at all of these different things, the ethics, the learning theory, the actual, like, the trueness of that maybe it's not as perfect as it seems. All of that, I think this class, especially the articles, especially like the article reviews, I think they really changed my perception of online learning. So I'm happy about this class. I'm glad I got the opportunity to work with everybody. We still have a couple of assignments left to do, but this is my reflection. I hope whoever's watching this, takes away a little bit of, like, takes away something from it. My website, which I made a website, which I didn't think I would do, is online. Please visit it. I guess I'll put the link in the description of the YouTube video. So, go ahead and visit it. I think it's pretty interesting. I enjoyed making it. Thank you very much. This is Milton Resendez Vera for my IMAESC 611 Online Education for Adults class, offered by Cyprus University, Cyprus Open University. So thank you very much for listening.